Hello everybody, welcome to Bud Labs. Let's see if this one sticks. Okay, I want to make a video about bash completions. That is like my idea here that I had a couple of days ago. Maybe I should add bash completions to the i3as commands. That would be neat to have bash completions for them, and it shouldn't be. I had never looked into how they work, how you do them, but I had a sense on how it worked, and I thought it can't be that difficult, and it can actually be quite useful. So I went to this HTTP address using this HTTP browser here, ended up here, I guess, which is this opensource.com. I'm not sure what that is. I have an article here about how to create bash completion script, and it's a fine article. It's like why, how, what kind of article with a little tutorial and stuff like that. So yeah, a decent 4 out of 5 article about this stuff. That is more or less everything I know about bash completions is this. You also have like the official documentation, but I haven't read it. I just skimmed through this and then got an idea and started hacking on bash completion script for i3get, and got some insights just by doing that. It took me maybe 40 minutes in total to get to where I am now, which is not like all the way there. And that is what I want to talk about. Why I stopped. But also maybe what ideas on how to proceed from here. Alternatives. Alright. So a bash completion script is, as it say here, a script. And just quickly here, a bash completion. If you just simply start typing something on the command line in a terminal and you press tab in a bash shell and you press tab, it will like autocomplete here to available commands starting with the text you have here. So i3 input, these are installed commands. This is tab completion. And tab completion also is like, if I do cd here, for example, I can do cd config tab. You see now with tab, everyone knows this, but just to make it clear what it isn't, because here it tab completes the path, the file path. So tab completion can complete commands or file paths, a bit depending on where on the command line you are. But bash completions, they can complete anything, because they are you write a little program to generate this suggestions is what they are called. What suggestions for auto completion is basically what it's about. And I think a good example, and a really good example, is like system CTL, which is the systemd control command. If I type this and press tab, I get a list of all the sub commands that is available here for systemctl. If I do status tab, and now if I press tab again, we get a list of all units that I can get the status from. So you see, it's two completely different lists here, depending on where you are on the command line here. Systemctl tab, list of subcommands. I don't know. What can we take more here? I don't even know. Whatever. Status. I take the same again because I'm not sure what to expect. But this is a completely different list. This lists installed systemd services. So this list is dynamic depending on the systemd installation and my operating system configuration and stuff like that. Some of these things isn't like Caddy here, for example, is a package I installed myself, and then it's still added to this list. And this completion list is generated by a bash completion script. And system-wide bash completion scripts are, I thought I had it here, but they are installed into USR share bash completion, and there we have completions, and this subdirectory, you see these are installed here on Arch. Might be different on other distributions, I'm not sure. But here are a bunch of different files with completion scripts. So if we do systemctl here, we can see the completion script for systemctl. And it's, when I first looked at this yesterday, I realized that it was actually a lot shorter and less code than I thought it would be, because it's such a complicated command, but it's still a quite complicated bash script, you know, just to generate the suggestions for auto-completion here for systemctl. It is just bash this, and you can also write it in POSIX shell. I'm not sure if you can use other, like if you could write it in Python. I don't think so, but maybe you can actually, but I don't think so. I think it's sourced. I think these completion scripts are sourced into your bash session actually. So they kind of bloat your interactive session a little bit, but I think most people would agree that they are improving the interactive experience of bash when they are done well. And this is where it gets tricky. Like, doing this well, it is quite a lot of work and maintenance needed to keep it good with the corresponding command that you write it for. So this is systemctl. Then I wrote my own little version for i3get here, which we can see I have placed in the local directory under my home directory, which is kind of a mirror of USR system-wide. So you can also do this, and it will be included in your shell. So put them in the, whatever. And this is the i3get. The red text is comments. So this is a lot shorter, as you can see, because it doesn't do that much. But I can demo it a bit here. i3get tab again, get a list of long options, which is just this array here printed with as suggestions. So if we do instance, for example, it auto-completes to instance. Tab again, we get a list of all available instance names for open windows we currently have. So then we could take here, for example, I wonder what that power control is. And then we could keep on auto-completing here, print title. It's the volume control program, cool. And to be honest, I actually like this a lot, that you can auto-complete active windows like this, and it works with class. And there I get the class names. We can see that there are much fewer class names than instance names. This may or may not be true on other systems, you know, but they are not the same thing. You can also list the title format, and that lists all the title formats, which is even more options here, because each of my window have a different title format. And all of this feels cool, right? One thing is you can also do it with title, but the title is a bit broken because it splits on tab here, so I get too many. We can see in Brave I have opened this web page with how to create bash completions, whatever. That it's not valid. So that is a bit broken here, but that can certainly be fixed. I'm sure it's the thing is, I spent like 20 minutes on writing this script, and then yeah, it's not complete, it's not done yet, but and this is a bug in it. That is not really the issue I'm thinking about here. The issue I'm thinking about is that if we do instance, oh, it's so cool. Oh, float term, that's so great. Okay, float term, print the class name. That's URXVT. So, and that kind of means that if I have specified a window, searching for a window with the instance name float term, if I keep on auto completing here, we get a list of options. One thing is that now at this place in the command line, some of these options are actually invalid here. And the ones that are is actually version and help and instance, because we have already specified an instance. Help and version are supposed to be the only options to get the information about that, so they shouldn't be printed other than on as the first option to the command line and stuff like that. So if you want this really perfect, you should this list should be trimmed depending on what we already have entered on the command line. And this is doable, I believe, to do that thing. But it is quite a bit of work when I think about it. I kind of need to incorporate like a get opt inside this script, and it gets very recursive, you know. Looking at what kind of arguments have I passed to the script and blah blah blah. It's I can already see how much work it would be just to get this perfect. And I don't think you have to do that. I think this is okay. I wouldn't be I wouldn't even think about it if I use someone else's program and it listed like this version, help, instance, because when you autocomplete you kind of know already which one you want to take. It doesn't really matter if there are some of them that is invalid. But when I develop this little stupid completion script, I think about it immediately, and it annoys me, and I kind of want to do that. I want this list to be perfect. That's one thing. Another thing that makes it even more complicated is that say that we fix that this list is perfect, and then we specify class here to make this i3 get request really fine grained. We want a window with a instance name float term, but also the class name URXVT, right? And that should work. We get the container ID for that window here. But the thing is, if we autocomplete class here, and that is actually the only valid class name here, since we are searching for a window with float term, it should only, when you tab complete here, it should actually, in my opinion, only list valid class names matching the already specified criterias. And now it gets really complicated. It's almost like I have to write another little program to do this. To like print a list with only windows matching these criteria. It's like, yeah, but isn't that kind of what i3 get does? I thought this to myself like when I was messing with this yesterday. That maybe I can just use i3 get itself to get that list, but the thing is i3 get doesn't really have that option to list multiple windows. It never does that. It always returns a single window. So, but I could do it. I guess I could incorporate it even into i3 get as a function that is only used for the completion script, really, to get a list and stuff like that. But you see, it kind of snowballs a bit. We are just like two options in on a quite simple command in this sense, like for bash completion. If we look at a different command here that I haven't even done a completion script for yet, i3-4. It has its own little command line UI here that is different from how i3get is, because i3get it works. You can specify like both instance and class and title if you want that on as multiple criterias, but with i3 there is lots of exclusive options, like show and hide should never be on the same command line. So here it almost gets important to not autocomplete into invalid options and stuff like that, and this is its own little world, and to get it good, as I'm saying, it's you need to put in quite a lot of work and maintenance to get good auto-completion scripts. And for me, I'm very much of a all or nothing kind of guy, if you haven't figured that out. So I of course want as good bash completion scripts that I can, that is achievable. Otherwise I don't want to have them at all. It would just be annoying if they auto-completed into nonsense or invalid command lines. That, like, I seriously think that is worse than not having it at all. Even if it is neat to get, like, the thing is, I think I would keep this i3get, because I use i3get sometimes just to get like a class name or something of a window. This I can already see this is just useful for me to get a list of instance name, whatever. I will keep this no matter what for personal use, because it doesn't really break my workflow, and I know about the limitations and stuff like that. But like making this the public version would, no, I don't want to do that. And then we get into the last like thing here that makes me hesitate on doing this at all, to be honest. And that is that with i3as here, and actually all of the bash project, which is all of the projects basically on Bud Labs, are more or less bash projects. But as you can see, many of them say, oh, i3as, that's a shell project. i3 menu, that's a makefile project. i3 term, it's a makefile project. How can a program be a makefile? You know, in the GitHub world, that means that the makefile makes up 60% of the source code of this code repository, and shell scripts makes up 39.7% of this GitHub repository. So the makefile is almost twice as large as this program itself. That sounds crazy. And this is you're saying this is a bash? Why is there a 500 line makefile or 400 lines of makefile here? That is because Bud Labs is using a bash framework called Bashbud. Bashbud is developed by Bud Labs as well. They are actually the only users of this crazy bash framework. So, I am Bud Labs. It's me. I did it. It's my fault. But I like it. I'm not against it. I think it's good. But it looks a bit weird, and might even feel a bit bloated to see things like this, like crazy 400 lines of makefile. Do I need to know all this? No. The thing is, the makefile, you never touch this at all. It just generates a bunch of stuff for you automatically, and it's helpful. It's great. And I think, yeah, we get back to it soon, I think. But one thing this makefile does is generate this, for example. What that really means is that it generates this file here. For i3get, it generates this -init.sh file. This is automatically generated by the GNU makefile. With some automatically generated bash functions here. Print version, nothing special about that. Print version information, print help. It prints this like table for all the options. It sources all files inside the func directory here, and it also generates this stuff. And this stuff is maybe the most important thing here, because this stuff is really tedious to manually type. Like what this is here we have class, long option class colon, short option C colon, and then you have to do this for each and every option that you have. If you have short options, you enter them here, and long options go here, so they are separate things. And then to parse the options, you have to manually create a loop that loops through the options and matches them somehow. You don't have to do exactly this, but this is a good way to do it in my opinion. And you have to manually shift. This is, by the way, if you are using getopt. If you are using getopt, I don't think you need to shift. It does that automatically, but then you don't have long option support and so on. It's a bunch of crap here that you have to know and think about when you're writing a more complicated command line program regarding parsing the options. And it's also like if I change the name of option or add an option or delete an option, I have to change it here, 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 I have to change the documentation for it, I have to change like here, remove, delete, change. And this is tedious, easy to mess up. Believe me, because I have done that. That is the reason why I created the framework, so I didn't have to deal with this. But you know, somehow I have to deal with it. Like where, if this is auto-generated, where do I define the options? Well, in this options file. So each of these directories here have this option file with the options for that command. And as you can see, they are different. Sometimes they aren't even options, like what is this and how does it work, but it doesn't matter. We don't have to get into details about this now, but you just specify, and there is almost no spec on this option file. You just write the options in here. The only spec is basically that you write long option, pipe, short option. You need to do it like that, so it knows that these two options are connected. Like help and H is the short version of that option. But you can write it inside brackets if you want to. I think the brackets doesn't matter at all when I parse this and stuff like that. It just needs to see long option, pipe, short option. Or if you don't have a short option, just write the long option. Or I think also just short option, but I think I never use only short option. I always have at least long option for my command line options. And then that is parsed by this makefile. But makefiles don't parse. They are for compiling, building. Yeah, but you can hack a makefile a bit to have it execute awk if you would like to. And that is what my makefile does here somewhere. Here, I think. It executes awk inside the makefile. Awk in turn process this option file and generate files based on that option file. I think we can see it here in cache. We can see what it does with this option file. It does a bunch of things. Here is a file that's called class in use, long help, help table. Yeah, here we can see this thing. So this thing is basically, it puts all of this into a file and then just insert it into that init script here. But it also uses the exact same this file and insert it into the man page also, which is done in a later state in this framework thing. We don't have to get into like, yeah, and here is the getopt in a file itself. The thing is, I don't really remember all of this since it was such a long. Yeah, here we can see the wiki page, which is a markdown page, and that is actually what is used to generate the man page. I just simply pipe this into some man page generator. I don't even remember what I'm using. Maybe we can see it here. Whatever. I don't remember what I'm using to generate the man pages, but I do generate the man pages based on this markdown. But this is also wiki.md. I also push this to GitHub to the i3s wiki. It is that actual markdown file. And we can also see here that none of those auto-generated files is here. You just, if you download i3s, you do make, and then it generates all of these files. I don't have to, because they are auto-generated from already existing code. That is common practice to not include that in the source code repository. But there are no build dependencies other than GNU make, GNU awk, GNU bash, and GNU sed. Here we can see go md2 man is what I use to build the man pages. But this is one thing that I actually include in my, I think I do include the man pages on the GitHub repository. Yeah, here it is. This is the generated man page. And I do this because I don't want to like add this extra dependency, build dependency for this script. So I pre-build it because it's still just a simple text file. So that is a bit of, it's almost cheating to do that, but I do it. I have contemplating not doing it actually, because I have actually gotten pull requests to the man page files, and that is not correct. It's not those who pull request. How could they know that this file is auto-generated? You create issues like that for yourself by including auto-generated files. Believe me, I know, because I used to include a lot of auto-generated files in the past. But now I try not to do that. Where was I? Yeah, I have this bash framework. Yeah, I wanted to show the wiki page. That is what I wanted to do. Wiki, we can see i3 get. Here we see that markdown file on GitHub, and GitHub automatically generates HTML for it and publish it like this. So this is the same as this. And it's pretty cool, right? To get all of this automatically done for you, all I have to do is basically when you have everything set up, and the setup is extremely simple actually. You just copy this makefile. You don't have to touch the makefile whatsoever. You can configure the makefile a bit with a config.mac here, so you can set like name and version and stuff. I like to do this in a separate file. You don't have to do it like this. You could also like hard code it into here. You see here, and there are default values for name and version and stuff like that also. But this is how I have found myself setting this up, like adding this config mac with some, and also like the man page layout, which is actually the wiki layout you see here, wiki md, because sometimes you want to include other markdown files or text files and stuff like that, and then I can just add them to this list here. Whatever you can, it's customizable, lightweight, fast. It's actually a quite neat system, if I may say so myself. That looks a lot more bloated and complicated than it is, but it's actually quite good. I am somewhat proud of how this turned out, this version of it. I'm not so proud about the first version of it, but whatever. I also have this, like if we go to i3 get, if we open the docs directory here, has a subdirectory with all the options, and this is where you enter the documentation for that option that is printed here, you see. So if you and the thing is, you seldom change both of them, and it just gets messy. I realized to have that in this file, so it's better to have it in separate files, and these files are actually automatically generated as well, which might sound weird. How can you automatically generate like a file like this? But yeah, let's demo it. Let's add a test demo dash capital D demo cool man. This doesn't matter at all, the argument here. It doesn't mean anything, but if you add an argument, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be all caps like this. It can just be cool man. It still works. the awk part of the makefile will understand that these command line options takes an argument, and that is important when you generate the get opt. But it simply just works. Now if I go here and do make, there we can see it should have generated a demo file here in short description, and we can even test this immediately, like, yeah, I guess this works. i3 get -h, and yeah, there is demo. Takes Coolman as an argument, and short description, because that's the default description that a file is given here. So it's really quick to if I just change this, then it's updated everywhere in the wiki, in the help, in the blah blah blah. It's a neat system, and it's mostly done to solve the hassle of dealing with command line options, to ease this process of adding, removing, changing, documenting command line options. That is like the main reason I created this. And circling back to what we initially talked about here, which is called bash completions. That is very much related to this. And if I would add bash completions to my things, you see where this is going. I kind of want to add it into my framework, in quotation marks, into this auto-generating thing here. And yesterday when I was dealing with this, and when I realized that okay, to have this auto-generated, that is not just as straightforward as the rest of these things. It gets a bit more complicated. But when I recorded the previous take, the one that I forgot to turn on the microphone, I realized that it isn't that complicated. You know, to have an auto-completion script, auto-generated thing here, it would be something similar to the option documentation here. But instead of, like here we have the name of the long options representing, yeah, the documentation. For the auto-completion, we would have the name of the arguments here. So output type role could have its own little file here, or not in docs, obviously. It would be called like a completion or something, comp func, I don't know, which could have files with the name of the arguments, and those could be a little script for that generates the suggestion list. When I say it like this now, it feels like that is basically what's needed. But you know, once you get into starting implementing that stuff, I will probably realize that, oh, I also need to do this and that and this. It's probably a bit more work than that, but it feels like it is doable. And I actually got semi-excited about implementing that and maybe leveling up this framework thing, because it's something, it have very much been a set and forget project since the last update. It has always been available here on Bud Labs. It's called Bashbud, and looking at it like this, it looks a lot more complicated than it is, because this, in one sense, this is the version I use with i3s. In another sense, I actually only use the makefile. I don't, because this has a little command built into it, so you can generate like different template profiles depending on what kind of project you're doing and stuff like that. It is quite cool, but I wonder how needed it really is. And maybe like a next version of this could be like remove all of that custom command stuff, just have a makefile, and then people can customize it with a config Mac. That's enough, I think, and do whatever they want. If they want to create a profile, you can do that yourself by just adding the files you need. You don't have to have like a bash script layer to do that, in my opinion. It kind of just makes it look fuzzy and messy, even if maybe I would do it myself, but I don't think so, because I don't use it like this anymore myself either. I don't use the bashput command here to load different profiles. I just copy this makefile whenever I need to use this, which I do sometimes. And I have few complaints about this setup using a makefile bash framework. So this could be a bit simplified a bit, implementing bash completions into bashput here, adding bash completions to the budlab scripts would then be quite trivial, and yeah, I have an even more potent bash framework that no one knows about. Like that's something you could do on your spare time, I guess. And when I think about it, it's something that I almost feel good about doing. I think I might do this. It's a nice project, you know. Why exist, you know? I don't know, but you could make something like this while trying to exist in this society and world. The haters gonna hate whatever you try to do, you know, especially like when you create like things for free because you think it's fun. But don't let them get to you, you know. I think it's a admirable little project to do. Maybe like level up this thing a bit. There is like a actually good documentation. I read this just now. I had completely forgot that I had made all this documentation and stuff for this. But this is not bad. There's a good foundation to make something actually really cool, like a little bash framework here, and maybe try to present that a bit more to the world, you know. I don't know. It's a little thing I'm thinking about now. So where do we land here with bash completions? Bash completions is more complicated than you might think it is. At the same time, it's a super simple little system. Read this article and you will know enough to know what it's about, and quite easily implement like useful bash completions for your own little hobby scripts, I think. But like doing it for something like budlab's bash scripts, which is like it's quite a lot of bash scripts, you know. Just i3s itself has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 commands here. And let's say they have an average of 7 command line options with these different functionalities and stuff. It becomes somewhat of a larger project to just implement this bash completion stuff here. And it's also, if I do it for this, I would also certainly do it for i3 term and i3 menu. Not sure about the other ones, but maybe, you know, maybe it becomes so. For me, it's almost, well, this is always a lie, you know. This is like what is it called? Procrastinating. a simple thing to do, you know. You know, I could probably have completed half of the completion scripts the time it has taken me to record this video, which is approaching 10 hours now because I've made so many takes on this. But whatever, this is not my job. It's not, I don't have customers, I don't have a boss. Things can take time. It's not a waste of time. Nothing really is, you know. But some time is invested more poorly than other time investments, I guess. I don't care, because I'm not that interested in like harvesting stuff from my time investments or whatever. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to justify me spending like 100 hours on writing a bash frameworks thing here. Yeah, I think that's a thing to do. You know, maybe I should end the video there. That's the thing to do. The thing is, I have a little list of things I want to do, like somewhat larger projects or kind of things, you know. But maybe this is a thing to do now. The thing to do is to end the video here. Do it, bud. I don't know if you got any smarter or not, or whatever this video. But maybe you know a little bit more about bash completions, and made you appreciate the bash completion scripts we have and get from the good people of Systemd, for example. Or maybe not. Maybe you realize, hey, this is complete bloat. Whatever. I don't know. You have watched the video. It's been an experience, both for you and for me. I see you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye, bye, bye.